Okay. What's up, boys? Paul, would you mind putting something into the Discord to let them know that we are up? We are live and we are ready to rock and or roll. Move this up a little bit. There we go. We'll get my beautiful shiny head in there. Getting the duct tape together for our wonderful production. All right. You guys almost ready? I know I am. You have yourself something to drink? You guys about ready? Let's go ahead and jump into the very best part of all of this. Welcome to Live with Jack. Hi, I'm Jack, and this is going to be the best part of your day, your week, your month, your year, and possibly even your life, because today you are going to learn exactly how to get what you really want out of life, from women, anything. But before we do that, if you'd like to truly enjoy this experience, if you'd like to take it up to the highest possible levels, if you would like to reach the height of humanity, the culmination of all of civilization, then grab your glass, your mug, or your flask, a chalice, a stein, or even a cask. Raise it high and let's make a splash. It's time now for our libation bash. Toast the night and enjoy the mood. Together now, we drink some booze. On your mark, let's not wait. It's cheers with chaps, so don't be late. Go. Ah, magnificent. Got that Goose Island Duck Duck Goose. It's wonderful. It is delicious. What are you guys drinking today? Did you get something good? How about you, Paul? You got something good going on? Maybe. All right. Now, let's go ahead and jump into today's lesson. This anemic looking whiteboard back here, this thing is actually going to change your life if you pay attention and if you apply these things that I'm going to teach you about today to your life. So we're going to talk today about how to get what you want. And the very first thing that you need to do to get what you want, to actually start getting it, is to define it. You probably think you know what you want, but do you? Most people have kind of an idea in their head of what they want their life to be, how they want it to look, but they don't know exactly what it is that they want. They know I want to be able to get girls, or I want to have money, I want to do things, I want to have a good life. But if you can't define it, then you don't know what that is. And this is why most people never get what they want, because most people never even define what it is that they want. So, especially in the field of dealing with women, most people never think about this. Let's walk through some examples of what this might look like for you. So, whenever I ask a guy, okay, what do you want? What do you want from women? Most of the time they'll say, oh, just, I don't really want anything too serious, but if the right one comes along, maybe have a relationship, or maybe I'll do this, or they don't know. They don't know if they're looking for a short-term relationship, if they're looking for hookups. They don't know if they're looking for a long-term relationship, if they're actually looking for marriage. They never define it, and they never say it. Why people don't do this is because when you say what you're looking for, you are, by necessity, excluding other things. And they don't want to do that. They're terrified to exclude things that they think maybe they want or maybe they should want, but they don't want to say it and they don't want to toss it out. So, for example, somebody who's looking for hookups and one night stands, but then they say, "Oh, but if the right person comes along, maybe I'll have a good relationship, a real relationship." And that's bullshit. It's just not true. It's just not the case. And it stops you from being able to get either of them because you have to plan, you have to build your entire system around what it is that you want to get and how you're going to do that. Your entire strategy is dependent on you defining what it is that you want. And if you can't do this first step, then you'll never be able to get it. You'll never get what you want. If you do this, though, if you start excluding the things that you don't want, even though you might change your mind later, that's fine. You can want something now and then want something different later. That's fine. But for right now, you need to plan around what it is that you want. The definition of this is critical. So if you're looking for a relationship, you need to say, I'm looking for a relationship and I'm not looking for hookups. I'm not looking for one night stands. Okay, cool. I hear you, but why the hell are you on Tinder? Why are you on Bumble? Why are you going to the nightclubs? You're not going to find a relationship there, are you? No, you're not. You need to actually start seeking the thing that you want. Once you define what it is that you're looking for, then you can plan for that. You can build your system around that so that you can seek out that thing that you want to find. Again, in terms of relationships, if you're looking for a serious relationship, you're looking for a girl who you can wife up, great. Why are you on Tinder? Why are you on Bumble? Why are you going to nightclubs? Why are you trying to chat with travelers who are passing through, who are just here for hookups? What you're doing is you're absolutely sabotaging yourself if what you wanted was a relationship. Now, if you're looking for hookups, that's fine. But you need to define what it is that you're looking for and then plan your entire system around how to find that thing, how to get that thing. This sounds simple, doesn't it? This sounds kind of obvious once you hear it, but most people never even think to do this, especially not the definition part. And then building a system around actually finding that thing and getting it, again, sounds simple. Most people don't do it. If you are looking for hookups, then you know where to go for that, right? You tell me, Jack, I'm trying to find women, I'm trying to meet women, I want to hook up, I want to talk to, I want to go on dates with all these women, I want to build a harem. And it's like, okay, cool. So what are you doing? What are you doing to make that thing happen? Are you going out and doing approaches, or are you just sitting on dating apps and hoping that they'll just match with you and that they'll just show up at your doorstep? Well, you're not seeking it, so you're not going to get it. You have to actually go out and do the thing. Build your system around whatever it is that you want. Once you've defined it, then you can go out, you can start to find it, you can start to look for it, and you can start to act in ways that reduce the element of luck. Of course, everything in life has some degree of luck attached to it. You have to be in the right place at the right time with the right energy, with the this and the that and the everything else, right? There's always some luck, of course. But here's the thing. You're not going to be in the right place at the right time if you just sat home doing nothing. If you're actually going out and putting yourself into situations where it's much more likely for those things to happen, for you to find that girl, the wife material, or the horny drunk slut, or whatever it is, you have to be there. You have to do the thing. You have to actually seek it out. The next step, communicate it. You know what you want. You've defined it. You've built a system around seeking that thing. Now, you need to communicate it. You need to be clear. You need to be upfront. You need to be real about this. Honestly, this is the part that is so simple, but most people won't do it. Most people won't do it. I think Alex Hormozy said, your dream life is just on the other side of a few difficult conversations that you don't want to have. And that's the same thing here, right? Maybe you're dating some girl, but you're not really all that into her, and you want to do other things. You want to meet other girls. Maybe you want to get married, but you don't want to get married with her. Have that conversation. Tell her, like, sorry, this isn't working out for me. This isn't doing it. That's fine. If you have other expectations, if there's something that you want in life, maybe she isn't putting out enough for you. Okay. You need to communicate that to her. You need to actually say what it is that you're thinking. You need to let people know what you want, because I know this is a wild idea here. You can't expect people to give you what you want if you don't tell them what it is, right? But this is what people do all the time anyway. They have these covert contracts in their head of like, well, but I just expect him to do this, or I expect her to do this, or this is just the most obvious thing in the world, so of course they're going to do it. No, it's not. Might be to you, but it's not. So if there is something that you want and you have defined what it is and you've built your system around finding that thing, all you have to do now is communicate that to people. Let them know. So again, let's go back to the relationships. You're looking for a serious relationship. Whenever you start talking to a girl, whenever you start dating a girl, whenever you meet a girl, you can bring that up. By the way, just so that we're clear, cards on the table here, I'm looking to find somebody who's a good match for me for a potential long-term relationship, maybe leading towards marriage. That's where I am in my life, and that's what I'm thinking. Say it. Or the opposite. Don't say that thing if you're just looking for hookups, right? Don't tell a girl, oh yeah, I love you forever and always, oh, we'll always be together. But first, I just want you to play with my willy a little bit, right? No, just don't bother with that. You can be upfront about that too. You can say, you know what? I'm not looking for anything serious right now. Just looking to kind of keep it casual. Let's have fun. Let's just have a good time. That's fine. You can do that, but you have to communicate it. You have to actually say it. You have to let people know what you want in order for them to be able to give it to you. Now, does that mean that everybody will always give you what you want every single time? No, of course not, man. Of course not. But it does give you the possibility that they will. Because if you don't communicate it, then they definitely will not, right? So you need to make this thing clear to people. Also, let's be entirely honest. If you're looking for a relationship, but you're just hanging out with a slut, you're wasting your time. If you're looking for hookups and you're hanging out with the virgin girl from your church, you're wasting your time. There's no point in that. There's no point. So don't waste your time. Don't waste her time. Just define what you want. Build your system around seeking that thing out and finding it, and then communicate that to people. Not hard, right? Our last thing, this is the fun one. You have to enforce it. If you say that you want something and then that's not what you're getting, okay, then you need to cut that off, right? So again, you're looking for a serious relationship and she's acting like a club rat. And you tell her, hey, this isn't what we're doing, right? I'm looking for something serious, which means you aren't going to the club every night of the week, which means you aren't coming home shit-faced drunk at 2 a.m. No, you're not doing that. We're done with that. And then if she keeps up the behavior, you leave. You actually enforce the fact that you want something. And if she is unable or unwilling to provide it, that's fine. But you don't stick around in a bad situation to find out how much worse it can get. That does not help you get what you want. You have to actually enforce what it is that you are saying, what it is that you have defined, what it is that you've built your system to seek, and what it is that you have already communicated to the person, to the girl, to yourself, to people around you. And then you enforce it. You have to follow through and actually act in a way that it is in accord with getting what you want. Because if you don't do that, if you just roll over and you say, okay, well, but I guess it's fine. It's where we are. It's fine. It's fine. It's not what I want, but it's fine. Then you're not going to get what you want, right? Obviously. So all you have to do is follow these exact 4 steps. Now, quickly, I would like to touch on something that was brought up to me a couple of days ago. Somebody was talking about enforcing boundaries and about punishing girls in a relationship and something like that. And honestly, if you're in any kind of situation where you feel like you need to punish a girl for her behavior, then you're not in a good relationship, right? Then that means that either you have failed to define, failed to communicate what it is that you want to her, or it's time to enforce it and just leave, right? Because if you're in a situation where she's acting in a way that does not give you the relationship that you want, or the system that you want, or whatever it is that you're upset about, then why are you there? Why are you wasting your time with her? So I really wouldn't bother with any of that stuff. All of that stuff, all of that weird mental masturbation, basically, of like, oh, but what about in this situation, or what about this theory, or what about this concept? You're getting too deep into it. You're worrying too much about the little details instead of, starting this and just defining what it is that you want. Because most people who ask about things like that, they're worried about how to enforce something, or they're worried about how to deal with a relationship in this situation or that situation. They haven't even done the first step here. So do this first. Figure out what it is that you want, right? Which might mean asking yourself some tough questions. It might mean admitting to yourself, like, no, you know what? I don't really want to just have hookups, or I don't want to be in a relationship at all. I don't want that. I just want some strange once or twice a week, and then that's it. That's all that I want. It's fine if that's what you want, but you need to have that conversation with yourself. You need to define what it is that you want, which also means defining what you do not want and excluding those things. So, with that said, you have now learned how exactly to get whatever you want out of life, out of relationships. And the question is, are you going to do it? If you are finding this information helpful, valuable, insightful, funny, ridiculous, absolutely astoundingly bad, whatever it is, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button, leave a comment down there, and if you know somebody who might benefit from this message, or who might get a good laugh out of my shiny ass head, share it over to them. I really do appreciate it, because it helps the channel grow and it helps more people get the message. So with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the lesson for today, and we're going to jump into the Q&A. Paul, you got this? Oh, there he is. There he is.
Together with me here, we also have the kid.
Ooh. Oh, nice. Good. I can't hear you very well today, Paul. Are you okay?
Yeah, maybe it's because I started this while in another conversation.
It sounds like you're underwater or something. The microphone's not working.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds cut off.
You want to come up here? Okay, come here. Come here, big Simba. Say hi. Say hi, Simba. Hi.
Does this help?
Oh, you're a stinky boy.
Yeah, it sounds like he's talking to his computer mic instead of his actual mic.
Yeah, check the settings and make sure that it's using your headset mic.
Let's try now.
Oh, that's so much better. Oh, God, thank you. Okay, good. Bye.
It's actually using the camera for some reason.
Okay, well, have you heard anything from Julius yet, Paul?
I have not, but I'll shoot him a message.
Okay, cool. Then let's jump into the Q&A. The kid, glad to have you with us, man.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So first up, we got a question coming in from the community.
Yeah.
So question number 1 is, what are the top 3 things guys can do immediately to get what they want from women? Like, what are the top 3 things?
First,
Ask for it.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like before you ask for it, right? First, you need to figure out what it is. What is it that you want? And then you need to figure out, like, okay, cool. If I'm looking for this thing, if I'm looking for a relationship, what types of women should I be looking for? Where am I going to find them? That's building out the system. That's the seeking part that I was talking about here. And then say it, right? Like, if you're just going out looking for the sloppiest, gloppiest blowjob you can find this side of the Mississippi River, cool. Make sure that you're looking for the types of girls who are going to be able to do that. And then just tell them, right? Ask for it. I don't even think you need 3 things. I think Paul nailed it in 1. Say it, communicate it, ask for it.
Okay.
We really don't need to expand any more than that on there, unless there's some kind of context here that I'm missing.
Well, he has another question. He also sent it before the video live stream.
Uh-huh.
So next half of it is, what do you do in relationships to get what you want with a woman who isn't giving it to you? Because before he would just distance himself more, and then the girl would like conform to more, I guess.
I mean, are you communicating it clearly? Because if you are telling her this is a thing that I want or I need or I expect or something like that, and then she is either unable or unwilling to do it, then why are you in the relationship? Now, of course, there are different levels of things, right? Like I wouldn't break up with a girl just because she doesn't like eating macaroni and cheese every Tuesday night or something, like where like something that's unimportant or something that doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. But for important things, for actual relationship making or breaking issues, then yeah, just communicate it and then explain how important it is to you. Explain why it matters so much. And if she's unable or unwilling, annyeong.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
I would say I agree with that very much. But I can understand where the question comes from,
Mm-hmm.
because especially in the start of a relationship, everything comes off a lot easier. So you probably get a lot more than you would otherwise. And then you get to the point where things go into routines and things die down. And that's when you kind of like you get less and less your way, I guess. So I can
Well,
understand
yeah,
where the question comes from, but yeah, you have to just this is what I'm expecting and this is what I need from you.
yeah.
And then in addition to that, you have to be very clear with yourself, like, okay, what is acceptable and what is not? Where do I leave this?
Yeah, absolutely. And figuring that out and even just having that talk with yourself about like, no, this is not what I want. This is what I want is it's not easy necessarily. And a lot of people have a very hard time doing that. What a common example of this that I see a lot in my coaching is a guy will say to me like, okay, I really want to date this girl, but I'm afraid that if I try to move in on her, then it will ruin our relationship. And I would rather just keep on being friends. And it's like, no, you don't get to have it both ways. And also, you're not actually friends, right? Like you think that you're friends with her, but you're lying to her because you want a relationship with her. You are trying to get into a relationship with her, which means that by definition, you are not being her friend. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to her. Just admit what you want. Just define it and then communicate it to her. You have to be able to do that. You have to. Otherwise, how can you possibly get it, right? How can you hope to get it if you don't shoot it? Shoot your shot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it does.
Okay. Cool. What else we got? The kid? What? Nana.
So I'm just trying to. So let's. How do I say? Because I'm trying to think of how to put this. Because it seems like very simple advice, I guess. Where it's like, how do you get what you want? Ask for it. Okay, well that's kind of. Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Well, the thing is that, yeah, it sounds really simplistic, and most people just don't do that, right?
Yeah.
So it is simple advice, but it's not advice that enough people take, right? Like, you want to raise at work? Okay. Did you ask for one? No. Okay. Why? I don't know. It's kind of uncomfortable. Okay. But do you want the raise or not? Right? Like, you're making a decision every time that you choose to have a conversation or to not have a conversation. You're weighing values of, what do I want more to have to get the raise, right? Or to have a relationship with this girl or whatever. Or would I rather just avoid the conversation and deal with being unhappy? If you want the second one, like, that's fine. But what do you think? Lady North is making faces at me. But yeah, just having that conversation, weighing what you value more, and choosing. But no choice is also a choice, right? No choice is just choosing to live with discomfort, with unhappiness.
Yeah.
Does that help to kind of clarify it a little bit?
I think that makes sense, and I think probably the thing is, maybe you could touch on this a little bit. What would you say to the guy who's like, okay, yeah, I get it, just ask for what you want, but I'm worried if I ask for what I want, they'll say no.
Yeah.
And they kind of live in that fear.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's true. They might.
Yeah, that's why you need to have that conversation with yourself first. What do you do if they say no? How important is this to you?
Yeah. Figuring out how important something is, I mean, that's just as crucial to it as anything else. Because, like, so let's take you're asking for a raise at work, right? You go to your boss and you say, hey man, look, I've been putting in as many hours as I can. I've been working a ton. Things just, like, I feel like I'm ready to move up. I think that I need a raise. And then if he says no, are you okay with staying with your lower salary, or is it important enough that you're ready to leave the company or the partnership or whatever it is if he says no? Because, right, depending on your situation, depending on how important it is, what your other options are, if you already have a system in place, so with relationships, right, you find a girl, you meet a girl, and you say, oh, I'm looking for something serious, I'm looking for something long term, and she says, oh, that just doesn't work for me where I am in my life right now. I don't want to get serious. I just want to keep it casual and just have fun. Then you need to be comfortable saying, okay, well, that's cool, but that's not what I'm here for. So I'm going to go. And know that you have other options. Having other options makes it really easy to walk away, doesn't it? But once you already know how the system works, you know how to find these girls, how to meet these girls, then you know you're not going to have trouble finding one who actually does fit what you're looking for. Same thing with work. If you ask for a raise, he says no, can't do it, don't want to, whatever, you suck. Okay, cool, that's fine. I know how to get a job and it's not hard. So I can just walk out and go get another one with better pay or something like that, right? Knowing how the system works and knowing what you're doing makes it infinitely easier to walk away from something. But there's always going to be a point in time in which you don't really know, right? Your first relationship, you don't know how easy or how hard it is to find other women. But if it's important to you, if it's important enough to be a relationship breaker, you have to walk away and figure it out. And what you'll learn is that, oh, right, this is something that people have been doing for millions of years. It's actually not all that difficult. I was just making it out to be something impossible in my mind. Same thing with walking away from a job. You can walk away from a job and you can get another one within a couple of hours, really, if you know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, maybe it takes you a few days, a week, but it isn't that hard. Does all that,
Yeah.
like, is this helping to kind of clarify and crystallize what I mean by all of this stuff?
Yeah, I think it's making more sense
Okay.
and kind of like the other elements. So I guess my next question here would be then for both you guys, right? Like, when did you guys start implementing this change? And I guess kind of what did you guys notice once you made this change?
Paul?
I think I started it basically the same time, around the time I met Jack. It's when like, okay, I know what I want to do. Like, I want to just play around, but I want to, like, I don't want to lie to someone. Like, I want people to know that, okay, I'm dating multiple girls, all of these things, and I want them to be okay with it. So what I ended up doing was just, I told them straight up, like, yeah, you're 1 out of 4. Is that fine with you? Yeah, it's fine. And then kind of make them accept to be a part of like your harem and just, okay, this is just one of many. And I think doing that kind of got me into a position where like, okay, I know all of these girls, like they're down to party or down to play whenever I want. And then it just rolled from there. And then after dating, like having them around for like 3-4 months, then that's when I finally decided, okay, I'm gonna go with the one that I really like and do something serious about it. However, when I finally did that, in the beginning I got pretty much everything I asked for. And then as time goes on, the sparks doesn't fly everywhere anymore, and you get less and less and less, and it just becomes the complete opposite. And I think what I struggled with the most there was just, okay, accepting that, okay, this is something that is a deal breaker for me, and kind of just accepted it and strung along for far too long, I think.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. So not asking for what you want or what you wanted at the time, not asking for it, ensured that you didn't get it, right?
Yeah, not necessarily not asking, but not being willing to take the consequences of the answer.
So not enforcing it.
Yeah, I think that was my problem in that situation. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't enforce like anything. Like, she got away with pretty much everything she wanted.
Yeah. Well, and it can definitely be hard, right? Because enforcing something, especially if it's a deal breaker, is like, this is not going to be easy. We're gonna have to break up, or we're gonna have to figure this out, or we're gonna have to make some serious changes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
Like,
at the threat of, or this is over, is kind of the implication there, right?
yeah, what it ended up with was when I finally accepted that, okay, this is not acceptable, I literally kicked her out in less than 24 hours
Yeah. There you go.
because
Right.
that's what I needed to do.
Yeah. You had to enforce it, right? Which, again, like, it's not fun. It's not like anybody, well, I'm sure some fucking psychopaths out there, but most people do not enjoy that bit. But also, like I said earlier, it's a choice between two values. Like, what do you value more, getting the thing that you want, or do you value avoiding that conversation and living in unhappiness and discomfort? It's an honest question. Like, it's not an obvious answer. In a lot of cases, the answer is the second one. Well, I would rather just not fucking deal with it. I would rather just sit here and be slightly uncomfortable, slightly unhappy, than have to enforce this thing, whatever that is, like whether it's breaking up or quitting your job or something else. But on things that matter to you, then you need to be able to step up and make that decision and take that step and enforce the things.
Yeah, I think also a thing that's very important to remember is that these things layer on top of each other. So when you first decided, okay, this first conversation, you didn't want to take that,
Yeah.
it becomes so much harder to take the next one.
Yeah.
And then what it eventually boils down to is that you become so unhappy in the relationship anyway that you leave. So you might as well have asked the first time and then got out of it 6 months earlier.
That's exactly right. And one of the most important things to point out here is that the heaviest thing on earth is not iron or gold. It's the weight of unmade decisions. And if you just make your decisions instead of worrying about, like, oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to deal with this? What am I going to do? All that stuff, that weighs on you forever until you actually just buckle down and make the decision. One of the easiest ways to explain this concept is, like, you know how sometimes you have a task or something that you need to get done. Maybe I need to mail a letter, so I need to go to the post office to mail this thing. Who the fuck mails letters anymore? But okay, I need to write an email. Somebody sent me an email earlier today, and I need to write them back. It was my mom, and so, like, I don't really want to write her an email, and it's not important enough that I should not work to do it, but it's something that I need to get done. And you're like, I should do this thing. I need to do this thing. And you keep putting it off and putting it off. But that nagging feeling in your head keeps going and keeps bothering you and keeps causing more and more anxiety and discomfort and unhappiness because you just didn't want to do it. You didn't want to do the thing. You didn't want to make the decision to sit down, take 5 minutes, send her the damn email, and then be over and done with it. A lot of people talk about opportunity cost, and we're all aware of what that is, right? If you take one job, then you can't have the other job. If you date this girl, then you, probably can't date her sister or whatever, right? Like, there are opportunity costs to everything. But there's also anxiety cost to not making decisions, to not defining what it is that you want, and then making the decision to enforce that thing. And that thing will continue to bother you and bug you through anxiety and through this continued constant discomfort. But you can fix that by just making the decision and doing it, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Kim sent a very good kind of, call it a like quote, I guess. If you're not able to accept a no, how will you be able to deal with a yes?
Okay. Yeah. What does that mean to you?
It's basically like, okay, if you're not willing to ask the question and accept the fact that you can get a no,
Mm-hmm.
why will anyone ever give you a yes? Right? It's very much like the same as with the when you start out with the approach to anxiety. Like, the worst thing you can get is a no. Like, nothing worse can happen. Like, you're already not getting it, so what does getting a no make a difference?
Sure.
The difference is that if you actually ask, you are able to get a yes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So getting comfortable with that fact and accepting all of the attendant consequences gets you to where you get what you want in life, with women, in work, in whatever, in getting drinks, right? can't get a beer unless you ask for a beer, unless you go to the shop and offer to trade money for their beer, or what. Like, you have to, you do this every day, right? Every single day you make value judgments, even when you just say like, oh, okay, cool, I value that coffee more than I value this money, so here, let me give you the money for the coffee, right? How do you get over the mental barrier of enforcing? I think might be a good question to answer. Okay. Yeah, that, well, actually, I'll just keep going with what I was saying there. Of, you do this every day. You make these value decisions every single day, and you know how to enforce them in any other aspect of your life, right? Uh, Something like you walked into the coffee shop and you paid for coffee, and then they just didn't give you coffee. You know how to enforce that, right? You know how to say, right, this is not working. Where's my coffee? And they say, oh, uh, you ordered coffee and you didn't get it, right? And then you already know the series of events that are going to happen there, which most likely they're going to say, oh, sorry, here, let me get you the coffee, our mistake, apologies, or something. But even if they said, no, we aren't going to give you coffee, you know what to do next, right? Which is, are you going to escalate it further? Are you going to further enforce it? Are you going to call the police? Are you going to burn down their store or something? Right? Like, there are many ways to do it. Maybe the $3 cup of coffee is not worth your time and your energy. And you're like, all right, fuck it. I'm just never going to come here again. And I'm going to tell everybody y'all are assholes. Okay, cool. That's one method of enforcement. You can call the police. You can try to sue them, I guess. But like, there are all sorts of different ways to enforce things. And the same goes for relationships, which I'm assuming that Crow's question was about how to get over the mental barrier of enforcing things in relationships. And think about it a little bit differently. If you ask somebody to do something, whatever it is, right? You ask them to, I don't know, save me a seat at dinner. I'll be there like 15 minutes late. Save me a seat. Okay, cool. Then you get there and they didn't. And you're like, what the hell, man? Right? Like, I asked you to save me a seat here. What happened? What's going on? Then however they respond basically dictates to you how you will then enforce it, right? Because asking someone to save you a seat and then them not doing it is not the kind of thing that would end a friendship. But if their response is, oh yeah, fuck you, dude, I'm not saving you a seat, you're an ass. Like, oh, well, now it's turned into something that ends the friendship. You're used to enforcing things in your own life in any other context. And the same thing is true in relationships. If you ask a girl to do something and you communicate it to her clearly, you say, this is what I want you to do, or this is what I'm expecting out of our relationship, or this is what needs to happen for me to be ready to move on to the next step, for me to feel good about this relationship, for me to stay loyal, for me to whatever, right? If you're communicating clearly what your situation is, and then she's not doing it, then just like the guy who didn't save you a seat at dinner, it's outright disrespect. Like, it's just an asshole move, unless they give like some excellent reason, some counterpoint, right? And that's fine too. Taking that first step is the hardest part. After you get over the initial hump, it gets a lot easier. Yeah, it definitely does. You just have to remember that this is something you do every day. You just haven't bothered to do it with relationships or with your work or whatever the situation is, which is wild to me, because you know how to define, seek, communicate, and enforce for getting a coffee, for things that don't matter at all. But for things that are really important to your life, you're just like, oh, fuck it. Let's see what fate has in store for us. I don't know. Right? Terrible strategy. Terrible strategy. So yeah, communicate your desires, your expectations, your wishes, whatever it is. And then you need to be comfortable with enforcing it in some way. whatever that way is, again, depends on the situation, depends on the ask, depends on the response, depends on a lot of things, but you do know how to do this.
As Kim says, everything in life gets easier the more you say it, I guess.
Oh, Kim's with us today. Fuck yeah. Love Kim. What's up, Kim? This drink's for you, buddy. Cheers. Ah, what a good lad. All right, the kid. What you got next for us, buddy?
Yeah. So I guess what would be next was maybe I'm curious for Jack here. Like, because, this is kind of the concept you came up with here, you kind of figured out, right? It's like, where was the turning point for you where you figured this out and you realized this is a necessary step you have to take in your relationships?
I think that the first time that I had to like really buckle down and enforce the hell out of something in a relationship was back in like 2012 or something. And this girl that I was dating, she was terrified and paranoid that I was cheating on her, and so she would always get my phone and start like looking through it. And I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Stop that!" She's like, "Oh no, I just want to see just who you're talking to. I just want to see. I'm just curious." I'm like, "No, stop." And so she stopped doing it whenever I was like there and noticing. But I'm not the kind of person who's just always glued to my phone, and especially not then because phones weren't as interesting yet. They weren't, right? So anyhow, she would still keep doing it every now and then I had to tell her finally, like, look, you've got to cut this shit out. Like, this is really, really annoying and it's really disrespectful. And it's pissing me off a lot. You have to stop. And one night I was staying over at her place and I woke up and there she is scrolling through my phone and my chats. And I was like, all right, fuck this. Got up, just took the phone, put on my clothes and walked out. Never saw her again. Just ended it right there because I had clearly communicated it. I had told her what I wanted. I had clearly communicated it. And then she chose to continue ignoring that. So I had to leave. And I did. And I mean, like, of course, worked out better, right? Because like she was not a good match for me. But had to learn how to do that. And I felt better afterwards. And also I felt freer, right? Because that anxiety cost I was paying. Because I knew that like this isn't gonna work long term. This can't be a thing. This isn't gonna be a good relationship. We're not a good match. I knew all that stuff, but I didn't want to have that conversation. I didn't want to communicate that. And then finally, she just pissed me off enough that I had a different, better, clearer reason to enforce it and just walk out. But a lot of people feel like they need something like that. They need something clear. They need something decisive in order to be able to act. And like I did in that situation, but that wasn't good. I should have acted sooner when I knew that it was a doomed shit relationship. I should have just from pretty early on just been like, yeah, you know what? This isn't going to be a thing. And then left. I didn't. Should have. And I paid the anxiety cost of not doing it. I paid the discomfort cost. I paid the unhappiness toll for not doing it. By the way, I do realize that with all this stuff, it is easier said than done. And so I'm not making light of how difficult these things are. Even the first part of defining it and having those tough conversations with yourself about what you really do want and what you don't want, what you're willing to exclude for the sake of getting what you want. It's not easy. even communicating what you want is not always easy. And you know that you will be better off if you do it, but that doesn't make it easier to take that first step and actually do it. So I do get that. I completely understand. Let's move on. What else you got, the kid?
So I'm curious, do you have a rule then, right? Because obviously these conversations aren't always super easy to have, right? And maybe it's not something as soon as you have the thought, I should do this, you do, right? So do you have a rule where it's like, okay, if I realize I need to say something like this, if it happens 2 times, 3 times, I have to bring it up. If it happens more than once in a week, I have to bring it up. I give myself 3 days after I realize I need to bring it up to bring it up. Like, how do you navigate enforcing, I guess, regulating yourself to do these things?
That would be excellent if I were the kind of person who could work within rules. That like that's just not who I am, man. You know, like you know me well, and I don't do rules. I just kind of go with how I feel in a given moment. And I think the only thing that I regularly follow with even a modicum of tenacity would be these live streams every week. Like every Thursday at 10 o'clock, I'm doing the live stream. 10-ish, right? Like sometimes we start a little bit later, sometimes shit happens, right? But this is the only thing I do with any sort of regularity. And rules just don't really work in my brain. So I don't know how to answer that. It also depends on what it is, right? And how important that is to you. Like for me, something that absolutely drives me nuts is whenever people chew with their mouth open. And so as soon as I see a girl do that, I'm like, hey, listen, I don't know what your family does, where you were raised, whatever. This is not going to fucking happen. And if that's a conversation that I need to have more than once, then this is not a relationship I'm going to be in. Right? So for me, that's a really quick and easy deal breaker. But also, it's a really small ask. So if a girl's not willing to do something really small like that, then it's not a good relationship. You don't need a rule to know what that is. But if it was something else, like if I asked for something ridiculous, like I need a bowl of green M&Ms only set out on the kitchen table every morning at 7:53 a.m. without fail. Then like, okay, well that's ridiculous. Are you gonna break up with a girl because she doesn't do something like that? No. But if that's that important to you, then you need to seek out that thing, right? Does that make sense? Like, it's not about just enforcing your will onto a bad situation. It's about learning what it is that you're looking for so that you can find the good situation so that you don't have to do the enforcing. Because if you've done the first 3 parts right of define, seek, communicate, then you shouldn't have to really enforce much.
Yeah, and I think another thing you can do to kind of help, not necessarily like with regarding rules and stuff, but to make it easier to ask for things in the future, and also, at least in my experience, increase the chance of always getting a yes, is that quite early when you start meeting or start dating, is to ask for favors. Have them do things for you and get them used to saying yes to you. Like, because that makes it, first of all, that means you're already used to asking her for stuff, and she's already used to you regularly or frequently asking her to do things for you, which in turns makes it a lot easier to ask for these little more important things too. And because she is used to saying yes to you and she's invested in doing things for you, she is more likely to say yes in the first place.
Yeah. There you go. Does that help the kid?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, cool. I think we have time for one more, and then we're probably going to have to wrap this up because I have a call in a little bit as well.
Yeah, I would say maybe the only other thing I would have here is I'm curious if you guys noticed like any difference between like East and West when kind of asking for things or kind of going about this. Like, do you notice, especially for Paul, like maybe when he's in Norway versus Korea, like it goes differently these types of conversations, or is it very dependent on the girl you're
I
speaking with?
I think both of them are true. Like, yes, it depends very much on the girl, but I think especially when it comes to asking for favor and doing small things for you, uh, Eastern girls are way more likely to say yes and just do them on instinct.
Yeah.
While in the West, you might experience a lot more resistance in doing small favors for you.
Yeah.
At least that's my experience with it. When it comes to enforcing things, I haven't dated Western girls since I kind of started doing that, so I wouldn't be able to tell. But I'm guessing it would be the same as with the favors, and it would be more resistant, and you would get more no's than yes, I would assume.
Yeah, I think that that's probably pretty accurate. I've been in Korea for like 14 years, so it's kind of hard for me to give an objective view about what Western women are like. However, just generally, the culture in America, especially, is very. Mm, it's very focused on what is fair or what is perceived to be fair. And so the idea of asking for something without reciprocation or without giving something back, it just it rubs them completely the wrong way. Even if it's something small, even if it's something that's not all that significant. Um, Doing favors for people with zero expectation of anything back just doesn't really fit into the psyche, right? And so I imagine that, yeah, like Paul said, you'll get more resistance, or you'll get more what's in it for me, or something like that, or what, that's not my job, or I don't need to do that, or things like that. Now, I don't know, whenever it comes to bigger things, I think that depending on what you're asking for, it would definitely vary greatly culture to culture. Um, and of course, girl to girl, right? Where different types of girls and from different backgrounds and even different career fields and interests are going to have different responses to all this stuff, right? Because like if you ask for a back rub or something, right? So this is fairly simple, right? Who is more likely to just do it without any questions or without worrying or anything? A lawyer or a nurse? And you instinctively know, like, oh, nurse, right? Because most people who become nurses are usually very helpful people. They're very giving people, whereas people who become lawyers are the opposite. Right? Well, like, and again, like it's not a knock. It's not like, oh, this one's better than the other. It's just like you're going to get different responses from different types of people, and that also applies across different cultures too. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it does.
no, that makes
All right,
sense.
cool. Now, we've been going for 59 minutes, and I know that the YouTube algorithm really likes when things hit the hour mark. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to shoot the shit for the next 60 seconds or so. Uh, did you have anything else on your mind, the kid, or anything that you were worried about or thinking about or anything?
Uh, no, that's about it. I think we pretty much very well covered the topic.
Cool.
So Yeah,
Oh, by the
that's
way,
about
Tay
it.
Tay is getting in on Saturday. He's finally landing in Korea, so I'm very excited for that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
How
good.
long is he staying for?
At least a year.
Oh,
At least
nice.
a year.
Well, I'll be there in 4 weeks.
Yeah, and so you'll get to meet him and hang out too.
Yeah,
We'll do Halloween together. The
perfect.
kid, what do you think we should do for our group Halloween costumes this year?
I don't know. The first thing that came to mind was Power Rangers, but I don't think that's.
Eh,
I don't know. That's the first thing that popped in my mind.
it's okay, but I actually still like. Paul and I were talking about this the other day, and I still really like doing Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I'm still down for that.
I would make a kick-ass Queen of Hearts. I would be all in for that. I think it would be a lot of fun. Or go the other way and be the Mad Hatter. I would love doing that. I would have a blast. Really go all in for that. Anyway, we have hit the hour mark. So the good news is we can go ahead and wrap up this stream. And the even better news is that you, dear viewer, have made it this far. So if you haven't done it yet, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, share the thing. You guys know all the YouTube jazz. You know what to do with it. It helps me out, and I would really, truly appreciate it if you can do that for me. That little bit really helps a ton. And I think that that's all that we have for today. So until next week, boys, Papa Jack out.